Hello and welcome again to Open Up at the Workplace. My name is Lizzy and I'm here with Marta, our head of people. Now, Marta, thank you for being here again today. The question that I have for you is that I'm curious how HR and managers, how can they collaborate to make sure that you have the feeling that everybody's opinion is being heard? So you can call it inclusive leadership.
Thanks, Lizzy, for your question. Nice to be here again talking about these topics. Well, I think you can look at this from different perspectives, right? First of all, is a little bit policy, right? Do you have the policies in place to make this a little bit more structural? Are people aware of what is expected of them in terms of how to behave towards each other? What are the mechanisms in case they feel like they're not being heard, for example, and these kinds of things? I mean, it's maybe the more boring side of it, but of course, having things in writing and policy in place is important because it also defines, okay, this is how the company looks at it. This is our stance. Mm-hmm. On the second hand, I would say, of course, also looking at data, right? Doing your surveys, making sure that people have a chance to anonymously express if there is an inclusive culture in the company or not. Honestly, I think that's where you get most of your insights in terms of, okay, are we doing a good job here or do we need to change something?
So policy, but also data, mainly based on surveys. I can also imagine that the outcome of such a survey influenced the policy again. So
exactly.
It's an interactive process over there.
Exactly. So, I mean, of course, in HR, we don't do our job in isolation. Of course, we work a lot with the managers, but there is also a lot of give and take with the employees and constantly checking in. Okay, how are you feeling about this? And then what do we need to do? Sometimes we need to change things. Sometimes it's also about, okay, some things that we already have are not very explicit or people don't know that this is in place. So it's constantly having that conversation. And then, of course, checking with your own bias, right? For example, we had a lunch and learn recently about unconscious bias. And I think that's also something that, every leader should also have a little bit of understanding of what is this? What are the different types of biases, but also what are my biases, considering how I was brought up as a child, where I am from, and on all of those elements. So I don't know, to give an example, if you're having a meeting and, the person that is higher in the organization is the one that expresses their opinion first, that will probably influence how others express their opinions or what they think about their own opinions after that. So just being mindful about those things. And I think as an individual leader, really learning that for yourself and then creating your own checklist of, okay, I know what my pitfalls are. So what are the things that I really need to pay attention to and have my own checklist? Like, I don't know, do I tend to agree more with people that are more extroverted in how they express their opinions? Do I pay attention in my team meetings about who is speaking and who is being interrupted and those kinds of things? There are tons of types of biases. We can talk about after 2 hours, but I think, knowing that for yourself and having your own checklist is a practical tip that can help.
Yeah, very interesting. So it's important to have like a deep dive into, hey, what are unconscious biases, but especially what are my unconscious biases to make them conscious. I also notice it myself that we are in a team with so many different cultures, and there can also be some biases in. Do you hear this more often? Do you have an example over here?
Yeah, of course. And I think this also is very dependent on the organization, right? Are you a company that is of a certain country and nationality? Are you a global company? Are you a European company? Like, it really depends. Mm-hmm. What is your team look like? What is the composition? What kind of diverse profiles do you have on the table every day? And of course, today we know that the more diverse, the higher performing, let's say, because more perspectives are being put on the table and people challenge each other. And of course, when it comes to having a team with different cultures where, there might be some friction, etc., something I didn't mention at the beginning, but of course, really important for inclusivity is safety. From a psychological perspective, do people feel like they can raise it when they disagree? Do people feel like they can say, like, hey, actually, the way you express your feedback doesn't really work for me because, I come from this other culture. We look at these things differently. Safety and also understanding, what are the characteristics of your own culture versus others? That can also be helpful.
Yeah. So having an open conversation about that would be valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
Which can also maybe create more safety and for people having the feeling that they can speak up and share their perspective.
Yeah, indeed. And knowing that at the end of the day, there is also not right or wrong way. There is just different.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much, Marta, for sharing this insight with me.
Thanks, Lizzy.